Senators, for the invitation to join you today. We have a vision for employment in the nonprofit and charitable sector. Our vision is to mobilize a decent work movement across the Ontario nonprofit sector that will allow organizations to more effectively achieve their missions because they provide decent work to their employees. We believe it is vital to build a better understanding and a deeper understanding of the sector's workforce if we are to develop effective long-term solutions for employers and employees alike. Our premise is that with happier, healthier, and better supported workers, nonprofits can do a better job in meeting their mission and delivering their services and programs. And this will benefit all of our communities. As you have already heard, the nonprofit and charitable sector in Ontario and Canada is a critical part of our economy and social fabric. And as Jacqueline has just pointed out, the nonprofit sector in Canada employs 2 million Canadians and about 11% of our actively economic population, which does not include the 13 million volunteers who contribute enough hours to equal more than 1 million full-time jobs. In Ontario alone, there are 58,000 organizations, and we estimate 1 million sector employees. An estimate, as there's either no or limited workforce data on the nonprofit sector, which is problematic for funders, policymakers, and organizations. The nonprofit sector does differ from other sectors in terms of its own characteristics, challenges, and opportunities that significantly affect employment in the sector. We've been working on labour force issues in Ontario for a number of years, and our work thus far has resulted in using the framework of decent work. This concept was developed by the International Labour Organization and was introduced to us by the Atkinson Foundation. The definition of decent work is opportunities to obtain decent and productive work in conditions of freedom, equity, security, and human dignity. It is a lens to think about fair, equitable, and stable work, not just about meeting minimum requirements, but also about creating a work environment in which diverse people can thrive. In September 2015, Canada and 192 other UN member states adopted the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. Goal number 8 on that list is decent work and economic growth. In fact, I read, Canada's commitment by 2030 is to achieve full and productive employment and decent work for all women and men, including for young people and persons with disabilities, and equal pay for work of equal value. Therefore, Canada is committed to implementing decent work in our communities, and we should build on this momentum specifically in the nonprofit sector. There are 7 indicators of decent work that we believe have particular resonance for the sector, according to the Change Work report we produced, including employment opportunities, fair income, health and retirement benefits, stable employment, opportunities for development and advancement, equality and rights at work, and culture and leadership. And these indicators would give us a work plan for creating a better employment in the nonprofit sector. But I want to take a moment to particularly highlight the issue of women workers in Ontario's nonprofit sector, and this also extends to Canada as a whole. 80% of the sector in Ontario are women workers, but we know very little about how they are faring in the sector. Given the critical intersections between labour, the nonprofit sector, and women, we've been exploring this question by applying a gender-based lens to the decent work movement with the support of Status of Women Canada. We have been compiling women's voices on their employment experience in the sector and will be releasing a report later this month. But what we have learned is that gender plays a significant role in the sector's labour market. We know that the sector is women majority, but it is not women-led. And we have also learned that women workers experience sexism and other forms of discrimination in our sector. We believe this is a situation with some urgency. Demographic shifts tell us that leaders and employees in the nonprofit sector are soon to retire. Succession planning is limited. We don't have the resources, benefits, and supports to entice younger and more diverse workers. And never before have the services that our sector does provide been more desperately needed by our communities, whether they're food banks, immigrant serving organizations, after-school programs, community art programs, or shelters. So we need to retain and recruit talent for the benefit of all Canadians, not just for the benefit of our sector. So fundamentally, we believe that there is a power in convening the voices of the sector and to listen to their lived experiences, and we thank you for the opportunity to share that with you today. There is an appetite in the nonprofit sector of all sizes and types of organizations to improve working conditions, and I can tell you it's the most popular work that we have done in the last number of years. The narrative about charity and the overhead myth has deep roots and has a negative impact on the sector's workforce. And we believe that the nonprofit sector is often in an impossible situation, choosing between investing in staff and serving their community. So we respectfully recommend the Senate consider better labor market information and data collection at the federal and provincial levels with the support of Statistics Canada, supporting the development of a specific nonprofit sector workforce strategy with a particular focus on the shifting demographics, their implications such as succession planning, and funding opportunities to support the sector, how federal grants and contributions can be reformed to allow for appropriate investments in staffing and meaningful administrative burden reduction, applying a gender lens and a diversity lens and solutions to the nonprofit sector workforce, to consider those other system-level changes that the federal government can take on that would benefit nonprofit sector employees and all employees in Canada, such as an increased minimum wage and a commitment to paying a living wage, CPP enhancements, pay transparency, gender wage gap solutions, and a national child care strategy. And finally, to support retirement savings and registered pension plans, particularly portability with